I was out of town when that thing came out, so and when she picked up and read it, I think she was relieved that it didn't say the sexiest man dead.
In a shocking twist, Mel Gibson has broken his silence about the long-rumored secret agenda behind Oprah Winfrey's influential platform. For years, speculation has swirled about the hidden motives driving the media mogul's choices and interviews. Now, Gibson's candid revelations promise to unveil a side of Oprah's empire that many have only whispered about. Prepare for an eye-opening dive into a saga of power, influence, and unexpected truths. The world of Hollywood, unveiling the crazy truth. The world is crazy nowadays, but Hollywood? That's a whole other level of crazy. You think you've seen it all, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Mel Gibson? Yes, that Mel Gibson is blowing the lid off some seriously dark stuff in this film called Sound of Freedom. And let me tell you, he isn't holding back. This guy exposes some of the most powerful people in the industry for what they allegedly are, to exposing them and all their shady dealings. Mel is on a quest to tell us about what's really going on behind those scenes. And let me tell you, it's not pretty. But the real kicker is that there's another huge Hollywood name wrapped up in that mess. And when you find out who it is, you'll be shocked. All right, so what precisely did Mel say? Let's break it down. We all know the scandals of Hollywood have always blown our minds, right? It's no secret that this industry is one of controversy. But sometimes, there comes something utterly out of the blue and makes it all go haywire. In Sound of Freedom, Gibson lets in some seriously dark light. It digs into the horrifying world of human trafficking. But where that was gut-wrenching enough, Gibson didn't stop. He has been on this mission, taking interviews and talking openly about what he believes is really going on with some of Hollywood's elites. And yeah, it is about as bad as you are imagining. As Gibson says, the dirty secrets of Hollywood are not limited to your average day-to-day drama. He is talking about major corruption and disturbing activities that people in the public usually do not hear of. And here is the kicker. He's not talking about small-time players. Nope, he's calling them all big names. You know, the ones all of us have ever heard of. He basically opened Pandora's box, and there is no going back. Well, here's where things get a little juicier. The word on the street says that another well-known figure in Hollywood, a person nobody would expect, is right in the middle of all this. Whispers, lots of whispers, but no one is ready to drop the name just yet. You can almost feel the tension in the air while everyone waits to see who it could be. It's just like some real-life suspense thriller. Only this time, in real life, the plot twists take in real A-listers. Precisely what did Mel reveal? Well, besides bringing the real-life terror of trafficking into the limelight, he's suggesting something way bigger, something uglier. He has made it clear that some of the richest and most powerful people in the world are connected with every form of misdeed, and not just in the dark alleys but right in front of our noses. This isn't just some crazy conspiracy theory. He's saying that, bottom line, he's seen enough in his years of the business and knows what's really going down. And let's not forget, Hollywood has always been good at keeping secrets. We've seen scandals come and go, but Gibson here's pushing for a different thing altogether. He wants the truth out in the open, however ugly. It's bold, it's risky, and quite frankly, terrifying. But here is the question. What next? Is this the tip of an even larger unraveling? Will more stars come out? Or will the industry do what it has always done, sweep it under the rug and move along? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, it's about to get hot in here. And of course, the whole thing might turn out to be serious in ushering many changes. It feels like Hollywood may be in for its most major reckoning with the names flying around and the secrets crawling out. Will it buckle under the weight of its own secrets, or somehow will it bounce back? No matter what goes down, we are glued to the headlines, waiting to see who gets swept up next in this storm. So far, the one thing we can take away from Mel Gibson's bombshells is that the truth can be stranger and much crazier than fiction. Therefore, fasten those seatbelts. The roller coaster ride that is Hollywood has only just begun. An eye-opening movie. This time it was a shock film that opened our minds to some very startling truths. We didn't realize at first, but this movie would soon show us what's happening from behind the scenes in a way we never could have predicted. The movie I am talking about is Sound of Freedom, directed and co-written by Alejandro Monteverde. It features Jim Caviezel, Mira Sorvino, and Bill Camp. Like the title goes, the film carries a powerful message. That's a message in respect to child trafficking, something very serious and heartbreaking. It actually shows how kids, even nowadays, run huge risks of being taken away by bad adults and thrown into the worst conditions possible. You'd imagine this film trying to highlight something as crucial as this would be shown, well, everywhere, right? Well, that's where the kick comes in. This movie is barely getting viewed. And more than just disappointing, it's honestly quite concerning. Why is no one talking about this movie? There's a reason, and it's not that difficult to figure out. The powers that be at the top, sometimes known as the elites, do not want any of us to see this movie. They're trying to make this movie disappear because it touches on things they don't want us to know. It's almost as if the movie is uncovering secrets some people in power would like to keep secret. Some really powerful people do not want this movie to reach the masses due to some raw truths being told about the industry. It really hits a little too close for comfort, and that's what they don't like. Sound of Freedom is based on the real story of Tim Ballard, who served as a special agent for the Department of Homeland Security. He dedicated his life to saving kids from exploitation. Having come to understand the severity of the problem, Ballard decided, lynched by Glenn Beck, to establish an organization committed to ending child trafficking, Operation Underground Railroad. The film has an underlying tone of faith throughout, such as when Ballard himself says, "Because God's children are not for sale." That pretty well sums up his drive to protect kids from terrible situations like this. His faith drives him to move forward and places another level of depth on the film as well. At many levels, this is not a movie for creating awareness. It is an advocacy campaign. The plot intends to make them realize how grave the problem of child trafficking is and the importance of doing something to end it. It highlights the bravest of men, such as Tim Ballard, who worked tirelessly to bring this horrible problem to an end. With its powerful storyline, Sound of Freedom is bringing attention to an issue that needs much more attention, with hopes of provoking real change and putting an end to the suffering of countless children. Of course, this movie may not be getting the press coverage that it needs, but it is still screaming a message that we can ill afford to ignore. Hopefully, more will take notice, and the truth will come to light. Even though the issue is so important and current, big streaming companies like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon decided to turn a blind eye and close their platforms for the movie. That was a shock, to say the least, considering such theaters have always been very accommodating of issues like these in the past. What would make them decline Sound of Freedom? Large industry names who have never held back from voicing their opinions on these kinds of issues have also been unusually tight-lipped regarding the film and its controversies, which just adds to the suspicions. Hollywood seems to have elected then to ignore quite significant social concerns arising in its field of business on a group basis. There's still more to come. The fight is not over yet. We are but at the tip of the iceberg, as more and more about these powerful business leaders are cropping up from underburdles. For the uninitiated, Sound of Freedom was initially under Disney, but House of Mouse suddenly axed the endeavor, and that had people searching for answers. The alleged cover-up. Sound of Freedom is a movie that should be making headlines for its important message about child trafficking, but instead it's barely getting any attention. Despite having a stellar cast and tackling a critical issue, the film isn't being promoted as one might expect. This has led to speculation that there's more going on behind the scenes. Some even believe highly influential people, sometimes referred to as the elites, are working to keep the movie out of the public's eye. Why? So uncomfortable truths regarding child trafficking and their alleged involvement in the atrocity don't come to light. Mel Gibson, in his decades-long outspokenness about corruption in Hollywood, alluded to these powerful people as far back as 1998. Now, fans are making connections and asking questions about who's really behind it. One fan recalled how seriously disturbing it was when an actor basically described how he wanted to leave, and because I knew that I didn't want to work with him, and he was getting scary. In truth, this has set tongues wagging over there being more than what meets the eye. There are even rumors that these elites could be divided into two camps, one of which is referred to as the Good Club. According to The Guardian, the Good Club is no figment of anyone's imagination. It is real. It is an elite club that consists of some of the wealthiest and most powerful philanthropists who meet on a regular basis in order to address various worldwide concerns. Its members are high-profile individuals like Bill Gates, George Soros, Ted Turner, and Oprah Winfrey. Oprah is one of the most renowned media personalities and philanthropists in the world, whose hard work is very visible in an effort to make the world a better place. But speculation concerning a not-so-secret dark side of her is going around, which she would rather keep under wraps. Mel Gibson has insinuated that Oprah, among other Hollywood elites, might be involved in activities contrary to their public personas. The film in itself does not mention Oprah, but her past association with Harvey Weinstein says volumes. Harvey Weinstein is notorious for treating young people badly, yet he was a friend of Oprah's despite all the negative press surrounding him. Oprah even went so far as to publicly defend Harvey Weinstein, an action that raised many suspicions. It has been reported that she might have encouraged other actors to work with Weinstein, adding to the growing concern about her involvement with Weinstein in some of his questionable activities. This has led many to start accusing her of possibly being complicit in Weinstein's behavior, which is really worrying, since such a comment comes from a person who projects an image of protection for the vulnerable. This brings about several critical questions. How much does the cover-up go to? Why are some powerful figures in the film industry trying to suppress a film that is out to inform people about child trafficking? If the rumors are true, these same powerful figures would try to do just about anything to keep their secrets safe from scrutiny. As more comes to light, it is beginning to piece together there is a complex web of deceit going on behind the scenes. The attempts to suppress Sound of Freedom may be but the beginning in the uncovering of a much larger story. With powerful figures possibly trying to hide the truth, questions of this cover-up will only grow. The more people learn, the more any particular person questions what is actually happening and who may orchestrate this effort to keep the truth hidden. Contradictions and controversies. That is interesting, until one sees how some of the choices of Oprah Winfrey vista her public image of women's empowerment and social justice sound contradictory. An example may be in her close friendship with Harvey Weinstein, an individual accused of horrific misconduct, which really sounded so contradictory if one looks at her women's rights advocacies. However, that is not all. Perhaps one of the most disturbing examples was when Oprah had a self-proclaimed faith healer by the name of John of God on her show. This man, who ended up in prison for 99 years after pleading guilty to harassment and numerous other charges, once appeared on Oprah's show. When that news came out, many were in complete astonishment and did not feel very well after having learned that. How does someone who is so publicly against such offenses end up promoting someone who later got exposed as a predator? It is one question that has been facing his fans. As one fan said, "Finally, slowly, we're seeing justice against the elite heroes." Another chimed in, "Beware of most folks that Oprah promotes." Those reactions speak to a growing frustration with what many see as a double standard in Oprah's endorsements. But as a human matter, it is even more disturbing to realize that Oprah's show gave John of God an immense platform, amplifying his profile, and gave him credibility. By putting him on her show, Oprah inadvertently contributed to his ability to further take advantage of those in the most vulnerable of circumstances. And though she did later try to reach out in support of his victims and offer an apology, it was all too little, too late. The incongruity of it all between her public persona and what she had done in the past is hard for many to swallow. But that is not all. Oprah's controversies do not end with John of God. She also received criticism regarding her leadership academy in South Africa. When Oprah built this school, it was to become a beacon of hope and learning. The project soon became shrouded in controversy. the South African government was one of the first to point out that the Academy charged extremely high costs, which begged the question whether the fees were worth it in a country with widespread poverty. Notwithstanding the backlash, Oprah forged ahead with the project, flaunting its high-end facilities, salons, and fancy gyms. Flaunting opulence in a region faced with a challenged economic environment only served to feed the rumors regarding her intentions. Was this school an effort to uplift young women? Or was there something more behind it? And so, the criticism mounted, with many wondering whether Oprah's actions had been congruent with her public persona or reflected a far more disturbing reality. As these controversies unfold, questions remain as to just how much of Oprah's image as a philanthropist and advocate for justice has been genuine, and how much has been contrived to mask a more complex and perhaps unsettling truth: shocking allegations. As far as Oprah's Leadership Academy in South Africa is concerned, things are not as rosy as they seem. A section of people has even gone ahead to the point of calling the Academy a cover-up for something equally less unquestionable. While these are not claims supported with concrete evidence to prove them up front, there has been the disturbing incident of a former employee named Virginia that raises questions. Virginia was allegedly involved in some very salacious, illicit activities with a number of the students who attended and also lived in the dorms of the Academy. If that is so, it would mean that Oprah had put a suspected child abuser in a place of great power over these tender young girls. Heartrendingly, this alleged scenario has understandably perpetuated outrage and distrust. But that is not all. There have been other serious complaints too against the Academy, including daily reports of violence and intimidation among the students. The constant furore has only tended to give credence to the belief that something is fundamentally wrong with the way the Academy operates. If these problems are as widespread as reported, it speaks to a deeper systemic issue within the institution itself. With all that has taken place, even the fans and critics alike begin to believe that the elite quorum in which Oprah is a part may well be trying to sweep these issues under the carpet. They might do this by burying films and information that could bring uncomfortable truths to the fore, such as Sound of Freedom. The omission of promotion and publicity for this film, which involves serious themes such as child trafficking, would appear to fit a disturbing pattern of avoidance of transparency and accountability. It's just a perfect example of how the powers that be would work to protect their own interests by suppressing the story. They make sure any film or report that could bring these issues into daylight doesn't reach a wider audience, so they can create some appearance of integrity while possibly still allowing those very harmful practices to go unchecked. The situation with Oprah's Academy, coupled with the suppressed promotion of weighty films, depicts a world where the big guys can distort information to maintain their interests. Whether these are entirely true allegations or not, they speak of a disturbing trend of secrecy and manipulation. As details emerge, the attempts at an outright cover-up are becoming part of a larger pattern of evasion and control. The attempt to suppress Sound of Freedom forms one example of how the truth can be buried when the light this may shed on powerful individuals and institutions becomes too much to let see. The more the people learn about these allegations and what was done to hide them from public view, the more they question what's really going on behind closed doors. Where powerful individuals might be involved in keeping secrets hidden, the need for transparency and accountability can never be higher. As we explore more, it's paramount that we do continue asking questions and seeking the truth, no matter how much those in power may obscure it. Thanks for tuning in. Mel Gibson's reveal adds another layer to the Oprah saga. What are your thoughts on his statements? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more intriguing updates.